Hey everybody, welcome to The Trenches. I'm Sam Mays. Today we've got a very special guest, former Oklahoma State great and my friend, Ivan McFarlin. Now before we get to Ivan, I got some very special people to thank. Lock Supply, Euros Health, MidFirst Bank, Oklahoma Ford Dealers, the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, FireLakeJobs.com. Remember, Euros Health is dedicated to helping the men and women of Oklahoma live healthier, more fulfilled lives. They provide hormone replacement treatment, peptide, HGH, and sexual health treatment for both men and women. They also provide nutritional, hydration, and weight loss treatment plans for both men and women. With over 30 years of experience, Euros Health can help you take back control of your health. Check them out at www.euroshealthok.com. That's www.euroshealthok.com, or just drop by and see them. Also, Ford. Drive into your best Oklahoma Ford dealers today for the best deals on Ford's full lineup of trucks and SUVs. Ford is the best in Oklahoma. Today, putting his hand in the dirt for the very first time is Mr. Ivan McFarlin, former Oklahoma State great basketball player. Ivan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing well. I got a pretty big chuckle out of the name of the show. I named it after the line of scrimmage in the game of football, and having you on today because I will remember that faithful day as I walked through the gym and Coach Eddie Sutton had you and your teammates dressed in almost full pads after a night where you didn't perform well, cleaning up the glass, and he was going to teach you how to be physical. Do you remember that day?
Yeah, I remember that day clearly. We're playing against BYU, and man, it was a tough game. Obviously, playing in Utah on the altitude was very tough for us as well. But a young man named Rafael Arugio kind of out rebounded us, the whole team actually, and Coach Sutton didn't like that. And by the time we got back to Stillwater, he was like, "You better be ready because it's going to be shoulder pads and helmets." And everybody, including myself, we were like, whatever, no big deal. And next day, got to the Gallagher Arena, and guys was going in, and they said, "Did you get your shoulder pads and helmets?" I was like, "No." So you might want to go in there. Got your name on it, got your number, got your shoulder pad size. Yeah, we're about to get to work today, and that was the probably 2 worst days of me being there for basketball. Doing those drills, it was torture.
I think that when I think back to Eddie Sutton, the thing that I appreciate about him the most was he really did. If you were in the athletic department as a student athlete, that's man or woman, no matter what the sport is, Eddie probably knew your name, right? And so I go bebopping my way through the gym that day, headed over to the academic center, and he yells, "Mays, go get your pads." And I was like, "Oh yes, absolutely." So I go running back to the locker room and to get my shoulder pads and helmets. And Les Miles sees me as I got right back into that foyer area where that big statue of Pistol Pete is. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Coach Sutton told me to get my helmet and pads." He said, "Take your butt back down to the locker room and put your pads down."
Oh man,
Yeah,
you would have loved that day because I think, like you said, Coach Sutton he loved players of all sports.
Yeah.
He really loved the football team, and I think he like if he would have called you in, like we had a drill like a charging drill, you would have loved that drill. You would have took all your frustration on everybody, and oh man, I could just see your face when there's certain people that he wants you to take a charge on, and you would have loved it that day.
Yeah, I was pretty fired up. I think what Les was thinking is Coach Sutton really wasn't fully prepared for what I was going to bring to the table, and he was probably asking for a little more than what he wanted his players to go through. But that was a great day, very very fun. I think when I look back at that time, Ivan, Oklahoma State athletics in general, the football team was doing great things, but the basketball team was one of the featured programs in the country. And so when I think about Oklahoma State in general, I think of my recruiting trip. I had the opportunity to sit down and watch the Cowboys take on Kansas, 13,000 strong in a brand new renovated Gallagher Arena. The memories of that program, the memories of the fans, the memories of the intensity, the defense, just the fight. I mean, you showed up to Stillwater and you were in it for it was going to be 40 minutes of just fire. And I
Yeah.
just loved every second of it.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, on my visit, one of the key things was the football game. I think that, just seeing how the football guys and the basketball guys and the track guys, and it doesn't matter which sport it was, they all came together. Like we supported the sport. Like if it was a football game, like everybody's there. If it's a basketball game, the guys are there. And that was one key thing about my visit that I loved the most. And obviously we had the new weight room coming in, the new Gallagher Arena. You obviously can't forget Miss Middlebrook with the study hall, and what her philosophy was to get everybody on track with their grades. And that was the stuff that, when I went to other places, that you just wasn't really getting. And I like I said, and I loved it there. I know I get a lot of flack because I didn't go to a college school in Texas, but I just think that, like I said, Oklahoma State, when I got there, it was just a different vibe. It felt good for me, on my visit and being there. So it was great for me to be there and just see how everybody of, all races and ethnicities just get together and just be one, no matter what sport or what event it was. So it was just great to be in that environment.
I sat down for this conversation today, and I'm kind of shaking my head because, it's been 20 years, Ivan, since 2004,
Yeah.
as your team, made up of some of the best players in Oklahoma State's basketball history, went to the Final Four. And
Mhm.
OSU fans still just absolutely love that team. We still talk about that team. How does that season? What about that season do you feel like just made it all come together at the end of the day, right? It just seemed like, even with a bunch of transfers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you had a ton of John Lucas, Tony Allen, Daniel Bobbick, the Graham twins. I mean,
Yeah.
this was a team that didn't necessarily know each other well, but it just seemed like in 2004, all that chemistry, like you guys just seemed like literal brothers that were playing basketball together.
Well, I, before we got the team formed, I think to me it was the guys before. The Mo Bakers, the Victor Williams, Andre Williams, the Fred Johnson, all those guys, they created a format of how Oklahoma State basketball is supposed to be. Like, no matter what, we're brothers. We're gonna be together. We're gonna fight, through the good times, through the bad times. And I think when we were looking at guys coming in to fit that mold, I thought that the Twins really fit that mold to begin with. Obviously, being at Central Florida, you know, obviously they had good careers there, but things just didn't really pan out the way they wanted it. Obviously, getting John Lucas was a big steal for our team, because at that time we was really looking for that point guard, someone who can run the team but at the same time score. And then obviously having Tony Allen. I mean, probably to me, um, if not one of the top five best players in Oklahoma State history. I mean, the guy. I mean, he can do it at both ends. Was a key factor on that team for us, and obviously, Joy came into his own mode and what type of player he could be, and um, you know, I've been knowing John for a long time, and I knew what type of player John was playing at Baylor, and you know, it just fit. I just think the main thing, and being on a football team is everybody go click together. Uh,
Right.
if if you're the top dog on the team, are you going to be able to play with the other dogs and be able to be on the same page when things may not be going the way that you like it? And I think that we really uh, got together early on that, as a team, and we were hungry. Like, we were tired of we're tired of hearing about Kansas being number one. We're tired of hearing about these other schools better than us, and we just took it personal that year, and we just crossed people's names out, one by one, and that's and that's to me how me personally, I think that's how we became one of the best teams in Oklahoma State history.
Was there a moment that season that sticks out to you the most, that really maybe you got on the bus after the game or went back to the locker room after the game and thought, holy crap, we're good, right? Like, we're real good. We got an opportunity here.
I think after the loss, obviously we lost to BYU, but I think after the loss to, we had lost to Texas Tech. I think that's the first game of our conference we lost. And, Texas Tech, they got us. We just wasn't on our game. And we came back home and we just had a talk and was just like, guys, we're too good to be playing like that. We're way better than that. Like, we have the pieces. Like, most teams don't have the pieces. We have the pieces. We have a point guard. We have a shooting guard. We have a small forward that can play at both ends. We got a power forward that's probably one of the strongest guys I ever seen. We have a undersized center that that knows to do every little thing to win. Like, we have a bench that's going to support us at all times, and when they get in, they're going to fit in. After having that talk, after that game, we knew, like, we're going to get all the way there. And we after that game, we just started. We got on the high horse and started winning games, and like I said, we just started taking teams by names, and even the top names. Obviously when Kansas came in, and we beat them at the house very bad. I think that was another point for us to letting us know that, hey, if we can beat them like this, like, we can beat anybody. So I think those are the two key points for us that year.
Let's fast forward to the Final Four run, or the St. Joe's game first. So many people remember that John Lucas shot, right? That the game winner against St. Joe's to send you guys to the Final Four. You were on the court then. What about that final sequence do you remember the most?
I remember Joey losing the ball. Like, I was freaking out, man. I saw that. I went, because we had the right game plan, and when he lost that ball and he ended up grabbing it and giving to John, and I remember that part vividly. And then I remember I was under the rim, so I saw the ball go through the net, and it's kind of like that feeling. You think the game is over. The game is over. He hit the shot, and
right.
We're like, oh, it's still 6 seconds left. We got to get back and play defense. And just the shot, probably one of the biggest shots in John's history of shots. I've seen him make shots like that in high school, but that was just very big. And a lot of people do forget about Daniel Bobby's defense at the end. You couldn't play a perfect defense on Jameer Nelson like that. Just to get a hand up and get a little piece of the ball, and the rest is history. But I can definitely say my heart was racing a lot that game, because it can only go two ways. Either he makes the shot or he doesn't make the shot, and it just so happened that it happened that way, and he made that shot, and the rest is history after that.
So on my end, you know me pretty well, so you can only imagine how many beers in I was as that game was being played. I forget what bar I was in, but when that shot went through, the amount of beer and drink that just flew into the air, the party that ensued in Stillwater that night, one of the all-time greats. Like, I've got to think that party is probably number one for me. Number two would be the year that we beat OU down in in Norman, and
That
like
was
y'all had just played a non-conference game. You remember this?
yeah. Hey,
Y'all
that
just played a
ooh
non-conference game,
man.
and we came. Yes,
And
that
it
party was
just
epic.
yeah, and it just switched like that. I don't think people understand when Rashard caught that touchdown in that corner. Man, we had just finished the game, and
Yes,
we saw that on the big screen. We, yeah, I don't think people like. I just don't think that uh, that other teams understand that moment. Like
yeah,
it's like you said, we went to a Final Four. Everybody's happy. Like it's a big moment.
yeah,
It's the same when when football guys when they do a big moment. That game, I'm like, holy crap! Like this is crazy.
yeah.
Because they've been talking about. I mean, and to make it feel so much better, their season was going great, and for us to come in and shatter it, like it just made it feel
It was,
so right, so good. Like it just felt so good.
it was great.
So it
Yeah,
was like we have moments, and like I said, it goes. That's what I love about being there. It doesn't matter which sport. If
right.
it's a big moment and you guys win, like it just makes like we made the school feel better every day when we win. That's how I took it. Like when we
Yeah,
win games,
absolutely.
football, basketball, tennis, girls basketball, it didn't matter what sport. We made the school feel better because that was something for them to talk about in school, and like that was our goal. Like, I mean, I know we're supposed to win a game, but that was the goal to make our fellow students that we see every day happy because they took their time to come see us play. So that's how we took
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah, it was an epic time at Oklahoma State
yeah,
back then. And I love what you said because, people don't realize once you go into when you're a freshman and you show up to a program and you show up to a program no matter what your age is,
yeah,
like you're part of the athletic department, right? Like
yes,
it's all of us together. And so we felt, when I'm watching that ball go through and like everybody just jumps up in the air, you get that same kind of legitimate rush, like that
yeah,
adrenaline rush. I'm not on that court. I wasn't even in the area, but just to know watching y'all, I mean, you and I shared a tutor for like 2 years.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's like you're watching your boys get out there and get it done, and you just know what kind of moment that is. But then in that moment, I'm with you. When Joey's shoe blew out, right?
yeah,
He stumbles, the shoe blows up.
yeah. It was
Like everybody's heart just sinks, right? And then
yeah,
here comes Lucas. The ball goes up in the air, and it's like hold your breath, and then
mm,
instantaneous just jubilation, right? People just freaking out. Unbelievable game.
yeah. Yeah, it was a great night. I just think I just think we deserved it as a school. Like everybody been talking about the 1995 team, and that's a great team. It's gonna always be to me. I know a lot of people talk about the 2004, but it wouldn't be a 2004 without that 95 team, because we need something to aim for. Like that team was something to aim for. They got there, and they played against a tough team as well, in their Final Four, as well. I mean, and it's just a lot of things happened for us that year. We, like you said, we got some really good pieces to the puzzle, and um, you know, I just like. I mean, personally, I probably haven't thanked them, but I thank those guys for coming here because they didn't have to come here. They could have went somewhere else
Right.
because they had talent to go somewhere else, but to get a Joey Graham, to get a Stevie Graham, to get, obviously you had Tony. That Tony could have went anywhere in college basketball, but he chose to come to Oklahoma State, and then obviously John, he could have went anywhere, but he came here to play with us. Like those guys really helped us out that year, and I know they don't get a lot of thanks for that. So
When you think of that team, those transfers, and then you think, now you're a high school coach, You are shaping the minds of young people of all ages there at Agra, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But the transfer portal is such a big conversation in college athletics today, and you were really part of a team that benefited tremendously from players being able to transfer. And so when you think of the portal now, I can't imagine that you feel any negativity towards players getting other opportunities, like whether it's looking for greener pastures or understanding that they aren't going to get playing time at the school that they're at. Being able to choose a new home, sometimes is the best thing for some of these kids.
Yeah, and obviously when it first came, everybody had their doubts about the transfer portal, but again, sometimes things don't work out. I think most kids in college, they do it for the right reason, to go somewhere, obviously have a better chance. Some of them probably look at it in a different way in terms of, hey, I got to get back home and be with my family. So there's a lot of reasons behind it. I'm grateful for it because, again, we were able to get some key pieces for our team. At the same time, I think it does hurt some colleges though at some point, just because all the money that obviously all the money that they put in to schools and everything like that, and I understand that, and there was a time that we didn't think about that as much, but I think once we left school and now they're putting Sam Mays on a video game or Ivan McFarlin on the video game, and you're like, all these little kids, they're playing with you, or they're playing with me, even though they may not have the name on there, but everybody
Right.
knows the number and they know
Right.
the team. So I think at some point it did change. Me personally, did I care about it a little bit? A little bit, but I was thankful for somebody to pay for my schooling. I was thankful for someone to be able to tell my parents, you don't got to worry about tuition. Like, we'll take care of that, or my studying, or my food and stuff like that. Like that.
Right.
That's how I thought about it. Now, obviously, it's got a little bit crazy, but I understand from a player's standpoint too. Like, if I put all my time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears, and everybody's seeing my face on the commercial on CBS or ESPN, and I'm not getting nothing for it. Like, yes, I'm going to voice my opinion, voice my frustration about it, and I think that's what it kind of got to right now with this portal. But it was good when it first came out because, like I said, we were able to get some good guys, very good guys, very
Yeah.
good people.
So tell us what you're up to these days. You're a head coach there in Agra?
Yes. So this is
Okay.
my first year here. Obviously, I was at Ponca for 5 years, and I was able to see the high school standpoint, which is totally different from college. Obviously, in college, there's some things that you can do when it comes to players compared to high school. Um, in high school, and obviously in college, you had to deal with parents, and if a player had a problem about not getting no playing time, in college it was simple. Like, either you're going to play behind this guy, or if you don't want to play, you can go somewhere else and play somewhere else. And it was that simple. High school is a little bit different. Obviously, you have to deal with parents, which is fine because I understand at the end of the day they're trying to be there for their child. And I have 4 kids as well, and I have one that's in 8th grade, and I try to talk to him the same way about that. But I also tell him I can't go in there and voice um, my anger if you're not doing your end of the bargain. You have to go
Right.
out there and give 100% and work hard and play every time. And if you're not doing that, and if there are kids in front of you playing, I can't argue that. Like, you got to give me some. You have to give me some evidence or give me something that I can fight for you on, because I'm not gonna go in there and fight. I've seen it happen before. Parents come in, argue, and their child is not better than the guy in front of them, and then their minutes go away. So dealing with that. I love high school coaching. I think that it gives me a chance to fully get one-on-one with kids, which I love at Oklahoma State. That's what I got with my coaches and my trainers, and then also just let them understand about real life. I think these kids, they want to be a basketball player, they want to be a football player, and it's great. But you also got to show them that the percentages, like, hey, the percentage of being an NBA player is like 2%, 3%.
Right.
You got to work,
right.
and you and you got to have something that that player does not have. Like, yes, you can rebound, but you have to be an elite rebound. That means you have to get everything. If you're just a defensive player, you have to be an elite defensive player. You have to be able to shut down anybody from 1 to 5. So, like, it's something that you have to do that's going to kind of distance yourself from everybody. And we try to teach these kids that, and they want to watch YouTube videos, and they want to be the next Steph Curry or Kevin Durant. And I'll just tell them, like, quit embarrassing those guys. Like, those guys put in the work. Like, they work. Okay? Like, you can't say you're the next Kevin Durant if you're not in the gym 5 times a week. Like, don't do that to those players. So just real life stuff. Teaching them, once they leave, you go be a man. Like, you got to be a man when you leave this place. Like, you're not gonna be playing basketball forever. You gotta find something you're good at. Be respectful to the women, around. Just those things that I've been taught at college. Those things that I've learned from not only my own teammates, but from other teammates. Other players that has been successful, and they come back and talk to those guys about, hey, this is how it is. This is how it is. I played basketball 2 years. I got hurt. Now I'm working here. I'm working there. I got to figure out how to make ends meet. This is real life. Like, and just those things, teaching them those things in life. But it's been great. I love it. It keeps me healthy as well. So I'm good.
Ivan, those boys are lucky to have you there in Agra. It was so good to see your face and talk to you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it.